I just wanted to touch on a couple of things here. Chris had mentioned that the tides are changing, that now is the time to win. Now is the time to grab the bull by the balls, to put in his words. And he is absolutely correct. Where are we here? And not just in Canada. Check this out. I remember watching when COVID kind of lockdowns were first coming. I remember sitting at the table with my parents in Ontario, and we were looking at what was happening in Australia, and they were setting up basically like checkpoints in between provinces. And I remember my parents, saying, "Oh, that'll never happen here." And my parents are sweet people. I love them to absolute death, but it absolutely did come and happen here. They didn't actually set interprovincial checkpoints. This is true. No, actually, I believe they did, because actually when my family and I in October of 2021 were driving across to Alberta from Ontario, they did say you had to kind of report if you come into the province. It wasn't really a manned checkpoint, but you're supposed to report. And of course, we never did. But check out what's happening in Australia, where I think it was like the worst of the worst. South Australian court rules employers who mandated COVID jabs. Oh, sorry. YouTube, forgive me. Well, I'm just reading an article here. South Australian court rules employers who mandated snake bites can be held liable for snake bite injuries. Imagine that. Youth support worker Daniel Shepherd experienced adverse events following his first 2 rattlesnake bites and was unwilling to take the risk of a further bite. But he was told by his supervisor that he must receive a 3rd bite within 4 months of his second as a condition of his employment. Does this sound familiar to anybody of you? Put in the comments below if this sounds familiar to you. I'm sure it does. Let's dig in here. The South Australian Employment Tribunal has found that employers who mandated their staff to take the snake bites can be held liable for injuries caused. The ruling implies that employers will no longer be able to claim that they are protected from compensation because they were complying with a lawful state government directive. Big Daddy told me I had to do it. I was just doing my job, as our friend Jeremy McKenzie would say. Youth support worker Daniel Shepherd won an appeal against the state of South Australia after it had induced pericarditis, snake bite induced pericarditis of the snake bite. Reception of the snake bite. Reception of the snake bite had been mandated by protection. Wow. This is a long article. I'm not going to. Well, actually, it's not that long. Let's read it all. The DCP, Department of Child Protection, admitted bite did not arise, but said that the bite did not arise from employment, but from a lawful state government snake bite directive. The DCP argued that the government was at fault. It's like the Spider-Man meme, right? We had that in Alberta too. We had the government pointing at the chief medical officer. We had the chief medical officer pointing at the government. They're all pointing at Trudeau. Trudeau's pointing at the businesses. The businesses are pointing at the government. It's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. Nothing happened. It's nobody's fault. No one is to blame. Well, certainly not me. It's the other guy's fault for sure. The tribunal disagreed. It found that the injury arose as a result both of the government's snakebite mandate and the applicant's employment. Both are at fault. Listen to this. Both are at fault. And I know an individual close to me who had a personal injury lawsuit, and at least how it works in Ontario at the time was basically you sue everybody and see what sticks. You sue the people immediately involved. You sue the manufacturer of whatever it was that injured you. You sue the employer, you sue the government body, you sue everybody, and eventually a bunch of them kind of get shaken out of the case, and you have kind of one or more entities that are left. But you just throw it at them all and see what sticks. And if there's a lawyer out there, legal expert, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's how it worked in personal injury law there in Ontario. The tribunal said does not have to be employment. The tribunal said does not have to be the only or most significant cause. It's only necessary that it be a significant contributing cause of a work injury. The implication is that employers cannot shift the blame because they are too responsible. That's right. Shepherd is incapacitated, unable to conduct normal duties. It is a story tragically common in Australian workforce, which is subjected to punishing snakebite mandates that force many reluctant workers to choose between their health and their livelihood. I was there. I chose my health and became poor because of it. But I wouldn't change my decision for the world. I don't regret. I don't regret ever not letting a snake bite me, never letting the snake bite get to me or my family. I'll protect them with my life. It is crazy. Shepard experienced adverse events following his first two snake bites and was unwilling to take the risk of a further bite, but he was told by a supervisor that he must receive a third bite within 4 months of his second as a condition of his employment. He complied, but a day later, within 24 hours, began to experience severe chest pains. Snake bites will do that to you. For 2 weeks, the pains got worse till eventually they became unbearable. He likened it to someone kneeling on his chest. Ultimately, he was taken by ambulance to the Ashford Hospital cardiac unit, where cardiologists told him that he had pericarditis, probably related to his third snake bite. Comes as no surprise that employers have been exposed to legal risks. State governments passed off enforcement of the mandates to managers and workplaces. It's their fault. We can't do anything about that. It's their fault. Threatening them with harsh financial penalties if they did not comply. With the snake bites, which had since been shown to be dangerous and ineffective. Not safe and effective snake bites. These snake bites are dangerous and ineffective. To those who were punished or fired for wanting to make their own health decisions. Imagine that. It also put employers into the position of overseeing health decisions for which they usually had no training. Amazing, amazing. While the tribunal's findings seem to open the door to further legal action against employers, including private businesses, any large-scale compensation may prove difficult to achieve. The DCP accepted that Shepard had been injured by the snake bite. Businesses are unlikely to make similar admissions given the potential sums involved.